2026. I'll give you another reason. If Andrew Berry, which I do believe Andrew Berry, I would say, now, could they get rid of Andrew Berry? Sure. But the tea leaves that I read, given the fact that he's had this drafted and given the fact that I think they will make a change at head coach, I think I would be leaning towards Andrew Berry staying here as the general manager. But if Andrew Berry is still staying here and he's the general manager, all it takes is for you to look at what they've done so far. And I would tell you, it points to them not taking a quarterback. Let me give you a very common sense answer here. If the Browns do keep Andrew Berry, let me roll with me here. Just let me roll with your boy G. Bush, and let me just give you some common sense stuff. If they do keep Andrew Berry and they move on from Kevin Stefanski, I've already told you, it's the domino effect. Remember? Follow the lead. Watch the scapegoat game. Guess what? It started, go back in the day. It started, if you really want to go back, it started with Odell Beckham Jr. They chose Odell to be scapegoated in the Baker situation. They kept Baker. Then, when Baker turned out not to be the guy, it was between Baker and Kevin Stefanski. Guess what? They said Baker wasn't it. They scapegoated him. Baker's up out of here. Then it got down to it. Kevin Stefanski was here. He was like, all right, let's get Deshaun Watson. When Deshaun Watson didn't work, what did they say? Deshaun Watson is the reason this thing all blew up. And guess who they scapegoated? Deshaun Watson. When Deshaun Watson went popping and they said, we got to make a change, we're going to get rid of Alex Van Pelt. They got rid of Alex Van Pelt. Then Kevin went back to his playbook. When AVP was gone, they said, bring in a new quarterback and new coordinator in Dorsey. They had him in the middle of the season. They transferred playbooks. Give it to Dorsey. And then when that didn't work, they scapegoated him, got him up out of here. If you keep going down the line, Stefanski got the playbook back again. Guess what? Hey, listen, we got Flacco, we got Pickett, we had the quarterback competition. That didn't work. They went to Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel's now out. Then they gave the playbook back. Guess who they gave it to? Tommy Reese. We're going to move this around. Now, it got to a point where Shedeur Sanders finally got in, and we started to see Flacco go to Cincinnati. He played well for a while. They said, oh, my goodness, how's he throwing for all these yards? And guess what? Eventually, it got to a point where Kevin Stefanski it was on him. He couldn't move the buck no more. He couldn't pass the buck. It looks like Kevin Stefanski will not be here after this year. Now, if Kevin Stefanski's gone, guess what? Who else they moved? They moved on from DePodesta. So now that boogeyman is gone. Jay and Jason, DePodesta is gone. Nothing here to see. If you thinking that Andrew Berry is the last man standing, do you think that Andrew Berry is going to have some leeway next year? Andrew Berry and the Browns gotta be markedly improved, and he's going to have to pay dividends immediately. Not no future dividends like this draft ain't gonna take it's gonna take 5 years to figure out if Andrew Berry's 2026 class is gonna jump. No. He don't got no time for all that. Andrew Berry is going to be the last man standing in that regime. And if you're the last man standing, if anything happens next year, that's on you. It'll be a first coach, new coach, or whatever. And that coach is going to have a long leeway. He's going to have a long track record. He get to do exactly what he wants to for about 3 to 4 years. All the pressure is squarely on the shoulders of Andrew Berry. So let me ask you a question. Do you look better if the guy you picked in last year's draft, Shedeur Sanders, looks good or bad? Looks good. Because if Shedeur Sanders is good, you can say, I've got us out of this position with Deshaun Watson. And on top of that, I found a franchise quarterback. Do you think that it's going to be better for Shedeur Sanders to succeed next year so you look good, or to go draft another quarterback who's probably going to win 4 games because he doesn't have infrastructure just like the rest of the quarterbacks did? This is easy money, guys. This is easy. This is not conspiracy theory. This is just regular nuts and bolts. If I'm Andrew Berry and I'm back next year, I got to win a certain amount of games. He just told you that 3 wins wasn't going to cut it. And if Kevin Stefanski gets fired after this year with 3 or 4 wins, what do you think the bar is going to be next year? You think that you can stay around with 3 or 4 wins? Well, then extrapolate. Do you think that Mendoza, with no offensive line, no receivers, and a worse position group, is going to get you 8-9 wins? No, it's not at all. So how can Andrew Berry afford to go into a draft with glaring holes and no linemen signed, with 2 first-round picks, just to put those picks up and throw those picks up in the air and draft another quarterback when you've already allotted a guaranteed contract that you can't move in Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel, who are 3rd and 5th round picks? How could you theoretically go into that process and even do anything? And by the way, it's not that hard to glean at this, right? Guys, let's just break this down together. You might not know whether Shedeur Sanders can be a great quarterback in 7 games this year, but the great thing is you sure have a better idea if you got another 17 games in 2026. There's 2 things we know. We know that the owner likes Peyton Manning, loves what he has to say, and went to see Arch Manning this year. If Arch Manning is not coming out in this draft class, why would he not wait a whole nother year just to see if Shedeur Sanders can be good? By the way, if you do play Shedeur Sanders in 2026, you at least bring some eyeballs to the table. And if you go draft a tackle, and if you go draft a receiver, and those receivers and tackles turn out to be good with Harold Fannin Jr. and Quinshon Judkins progressing, all of a sudden now you have a 2nd-year Quinshon Judkins, a Harold Fannin Jr. who's now in his 2nd year, and Carnell Tate, or a great left tackle, and some young guys that are coming along, that if Shedeur Sanders is not the guy and he plays 17 games in 2026, well, now your infrastructure looks a lot better to draft a quarterback in 2027 now, doesn't it? And by the way, the more guys that you hit on, the more job security you have. Guys, if Andrew Berry is sticking around here, he's the last man standing. Why would he undercut his own picks by drafting another quarterback that another general manager might reap the benefits from?